Alright guys, so we're here at the UK Games Expo and this is our third block of filming for the rest of the day here on Friday here in Birmingham. Yes, I'm here with Dom from Cubicle 7 and we're going to be looking at some of the really cool role-playing games that these guys have brought to the table quite recently, and of course we're going to be looking back in the past as well because you guys have done some amazing stuff. So the first thing I want to talk about actually is this table that we've got here. So if anybody knows Geek and Son, we're doing a really cool raffle with the guys at Geek and Son, and all you've got to do is go over onto their URL, which will be at the top of our live blog, go over there, answer a really simple question, honestly. Simplest question ever. I could probably even give you the answer at the end of this little statement we're doing here, and then pay a little bit of money for a raffle ticket. And I don't think it's too cheap. Too dear. Sorry, too dear. I don't think it's too dear. It's about £5, I think. Pick that up, and you might be in with the chance of winning this Geek and Sun table for yourself to take away. And you could use it for playing role-playing games, board games, and miniature games, like that. But yes. Dom, let's get stuck into what Cubicle 7 is all about, because I want to hear a little bit about sort of where you started, your past, and sort of some of the different projects you've worked on, because we're going to go through these in a little bit more detail and show us some of the books, but I want to see where it all began and stuff like that.
It's it'll be our 12th birthday at the end of the year, which is a bit scary. So we've been going a fair old time. It started with Slay Industries. Which Nightfall Games published, and we were working with them. Especially on a freelance basis, I worked with them to start with. I was editor on Hunter Sheets Volume 1, back in which was actually part edited in the Alps.
Yeah. So very nice.
Absolutely. Yes, that was 2004, something like that. So that was where I cut my teeth. And then we were working with them to start with, as well as working on some of our own stuff, like Victoriana, the steampunk, magic, Victorian era game, Star Blazer Adventures. That's,
I do remember that.
Enormous. That was good times. So we started off with those kind of projects, and we had this idea that we could use licensed games to get a presence more quickly than we would through things that we developed ourselves. So Star Blazer as a stepping stone on that, and we pitched to the BBC for Doctor Who.
Which I'm going to show off here. So we've got Doctor Who book there, which is looking very fancy indeed. Let's see if we can get a little close up to this as well. Yeah, how did things develop with the Doctor Who role-playing game going forward and stuff? So what was the process for all that kind of thing? So? There was quite a team, I think, at the start with Doctor Who. So I mean, initially we thought it was, we had a meeting to go and talk to the BBC, and didn't for a million years really think that we'd be successful. So looking at good pitch practice. So I think that meant that we went into the meeting, we were very relaxed. We were sort of there for our day out, I think, as much as anything. At the end, I think we were supposed to be in there for about half an hour, and an hour and a half later, they were talking about coming back for another meeting to talk the business side of things. Which was terrifying, because all of a sudden it felt like we had something to lose. So that was slightly more nerve-wracking a meeting. But no, that all went well. And so for anyone that's not familiar with how this sort of works, when you sit down to play Doctor Who, what's the kind of the premise behind it in terms of what you set up for as characters and stuff? So how does that all work? I'm just going to flick through the book a little bit as we go, as you're talking through it. But
sure. So when we were approaching Doctor Who, we wanted you to be able to do whatever you wanted to do in Doctor Who. So you can play whoever you want to play. You can play. We provide the character sheets for the Doctor and companions, and over the course of the last many years, we've covered each of the Doctors and their companions. So there's a huge load of character sheets that you, like, take and play, and we've got one for every iteration of the Doctor.
That's awesome.
So there's that, and then there's full character generation rules in there, and that's for anything that you want. So if you wanted to create your own Time Lords, you could be all Time Lords traveling through time and space, having merry adventures.
Very cool.
There's companions of all different stripes. You can play aliens, you can play non-aliens. There's quite a robust system for building your own aliens and tailoring them to tailor them to the system. There's a balancing mechanic in there as well. So the story points are what power or the cool stuff of the game. So if you're maybe it's the Time Lord tends to have more. They can do more stuff. They know more.
Yeah.
But in order to make all of that stuff work and happen, you need these story points. And that's where the non-Time Lords come in.
Because that's an interesting thing, because it would be one of the things that would immediately be an interesting thought coming into the game is how do you balance that kind of thing. But I like the idea that you've got a story point, so you've got very essential companions, and also the Time Lords, are also doing some awesome stuff at the sidelines as well, which is very cool. So one of the other games that you guys have been doing as well is the Lone Wolf game. So this is the one, as you might know, from Joe Diva. It's Joe Diva, that's the one, Because a lot of people will remember this. I think there was the game books, wasn't it, to begin with for Lone Wolf, and then you guys came out and did the adventure game. So if you could sort of talk a little bit about how this came together and sort of go through this as well, because this is a very cool little package as well that we've got here as well. So
it is. Should we open it up?
Yeah. Let's open it up. Yeah,
let's have a look. We packed this full of so much stuff.
I'm gonna try and break this open live on camera. So this is the dangerous bit.
We should have a countdown.
Lance, play some crazy music over the I can't get into it.
Will you get a crystal? That's the
But yes, anyway, so give us a sort of like spiel of sort of what it's all about and who you play as and stuff as we get into this.
So for Lone Wolf, you're playing essentially I always say they're like fantasy Jedi.
They are kind of, aren't they?
They're warrior monks. They have all sorts of cool powers.
What? Why do I need to? Lance is asking me, telling him to give the rubbish. There we go. I'm going to give it to that guy over there, and now we're going to look into this box. So sorry. Carry on, Tom.
So you've got fantasy Jedi. The game expands out beyond those initial Kai warriors, but the warrior monks, they've got cool powers. Now I wanted to design this for my 11-year-old self, basically. So,
okay.
And my first role-playing experience was Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay First Edition, and I think it was, going back to the late 80s, Talisman, Blood Bowl, and then Warhammer.
Yeah.
So I read the rule book and ran the worst game ever for my school friends.
I think that always happens for like the first dungeon masters when they set out. And you always think you know what's cool, and then you suddenly realise what definitely is cool.
Yes. So we're looking at Lone Wolf. I wanted to produce an introductory game. I wanted it to be playable within 10-15 minutes of opening the box, and I didn't want it to be dumbed down at all. I think that I didn't want to. It didn't need to be. I think you can make it accessible without oversimplifying, and so we're looking through. So these are the character sheets. That read this first thing that we saw first. Just tells you what to do when you open it. So the person who's going to be running the game has a look at the first bit of the adventure book. The people who are going to be players look through these character portfolios, and they sort of like tell you.
It gives you a good starting point and sort of influence for how you want to play the characters on the tabletop.
Yep, it tells you who they are. And if you open one up, there's a bit of a description there on of the character sheet as well. So it talks you through what's on that character sheet.
As you can see there, you've got loads of interesting bits and pieces. I love the fact that it's got the actual character portraits inside there as well. That's really nice. It's always good to see the actual artwork, because I always draw like a terrible person. I can't do it. So it's always nice to have something to refer back to, so you can actually say, yes, I am a grizzled traveller on the road. So.
I always thought it was good though, because my character portrait looked like a Charisma 3.
That's very cool.
Narrative reason for my dump stat.
So this is the Book of Kai Legends. This one.
So I think it's that one. That's the the person who's running the game has to read like 5 pages of that to get started, and it tells you sort of like these little icons somewhere back a page or two.
One more. There we go. So yes, here we go.
There you go. So it tells you sort of like what happens when you hit passages with those.
There we go. Look at those.
Yeah, and then it just talks you through it, and there's the thing along the bottom.
So this is good for first-time DMs to get stuck into and stuff like that. So
I love all the introductory games that are out there, but I think a lot of them are aimed at converting existing gamers onto their game, rather than being
a nice
true
introductory core thing for people getting into the universe, getting into gaming as a whole, and role-playing as a whole. So some cool stuff in
that. Then there's some making your own characters book.
That there.
more about the player stuff. And
so once you've gone through and you've maybe played a couple of adventures as some of the sort of characters that you get straight out of the box, the pre-gens, you can sit down and try and make your own Kai Legends and something very interesting. So cool bits of pieces. I really like the layout for this. It looks very nice and simple and easy to follow, which is good. And anything that sort of goes into a little bit more detail about how things work is always interesting as well in these kind of books. I like seeing examples in role-playing books. That's always very good for me. That's very cool indeed. So you got that book there as well. Man, this is jam-packed. There's
it really is, yeah.
So we've also got
the rule book.
Cool. That's what you'll be looking at and getting into a bit more detail with as you get stuck more into the game there. Cool stuff there. Yeah, very cool indeed. Yeah, so it's all about you've got nice, easy ways to get stuck into all the different mechanics and everything like that as well, which is really cool. Got some of Doctor Who there.
Then we've got some
good old crib sheets and stuff, which is always nice and handy. So you've got this one here, which is all about combat results, the equipment lists and things like that, and how those come together. Nice stuff there. I always like seeing visualizations of how equipment looks as well, because it's one of the key things that I always think makes a character is learning about how they look in terms of when they're fully donned out in their armor, with their sword at their hand and stuff like that. So it's really cool to have that aspect of that going on there as well.
Yeah.
So you got some nice bits and pieces there too. Maps. Oh my god, we're going to go back to the maps. God, I love maps. Oh, that's so good.
We've got some, there's amazing maps because they come with they were part of the essential part of the game. But you have the map at the start where you're sort of plotting how you're going to be going.
Is there a way to do some solo stuff when it comes to Lone Wolf? We've just been told from Jerry in the comments was asking about that. So is there a way to do that kind of thing with Lone Wolf here? Can you go through that? Or is it very much geared towards the typical sort of role-playing?
Yeah, it's a typical. I think with Lone Wolf, because you've got the game books, so they're the solo experience.
Yeah, so you could almost use those almost as a backdrop for kind of adventures you want to do going forward, which would be kind of cool as well.
Yep.
So that's kind of nice there. So you can always use those as a backup for what you're doing and plan your stories out and stuff, which is really cool. So now we've got some. So these are all the character sheets for you to make your own characters as well.
That's true. Yeah.
So you've got loads of those in there, and of course you do that thing where you go and take them off to a little printer and you get them all done.
Absolutely.
So you go and do that, and then we've got some cool counters, which is really nice. So we've got a sheet of counters there.
I don't know if you remember from the game books, but they had a random number generator.
They did, yes.
So rather than put dice in this, we thought we'd do a version of that. So inside the box.
Perfect.
We have the random number grid. You have your Kai token here. It has an arrow on it. And you flip it into the box lid.
Cool.
And what it points at, that's your random number.
Nice and easy to do. So we'll see that at the top there. You've got some really cool little portrait based there, stuff on the characters.
Plus it tests your flipping skills.
It does. You know what? I'm going to actually try it now. Can I pop this out and give it a go?
Absolutely.
Cool. Oh, that was a satisfying pop there as well. Oh, God. Let's give it a go. And I got
8.
8.
Fantastic.
Woo! I'm doing well already. So yeah, that's awesome. And do you have other stuff that goes beyond the adventure game box here that we see? Have you got other supplements and things like that?
Yep,
as well?
we've got Heroes of Magnamund, which gives you a load of different player options.
Very cool.
Lots of different people and cultures from the world that you can play. There's full adventures. Terror of Dark Lords is a full campaign. We have the Realm of Summerland, which is a source book for the main country of the where the Kai come from, and we have 2 volumes of bestiary as well. We've got the Magnum Menagerie and the Bestiary Beyond.
It's one of the things that Warren really loves from On Tabletop. He loves delving down into monster manuals and things like that, because it's always nice learning a little bit about how these monsters react to different things as well. So you can always come up with different ways to solve a scenario that's not just through combat, which I think is a really interesting thing as well. So when you've got bestiaries like that, you've got a wealth of knowledge to dive into. So Now we're going to move on to some cool stuff that I love my Middle Earth, and you guys do 2 different things for people that like Middle Earth role playing, don't you? So we have the One Ring, and then we also have Adventures in Middle Earth. Now you may have heard me talking about Adventures in Middle Earth on our Weekender show. But first off, I want to get stuck into the One Ring, because I want you to tell me a little bit about how this works and what makes it a little bit different from the 5e stuff that we're seeing as well. So yeah, we'll get stuck into that and have a look through this.
Excellent.
So go for it. Tell us what it's all about.
So the One Ring was designed from the ground up to be to really capture the feel of the books. So the themes of hope versus the corruption of the shadow, being a part of the world, sort of being somebody who's known for being valorous or being one of the wise. It's all baked in. So Francesco Nepatello, Marco Maggi were the lead designers on this one, who you may know from the War of the Ring board game, and Five Armies. They brought serious design chops to this, and it's fantastic. I mean, the critical reception has been amazing.
Yeah, and this has gone on through loads of different iterations and supplements and everything like that. Yeah. You've been doing loads of different things, so you can dive into pretty much any kind of era of Middle-earth you want to really get stuck into, I guess, really, with this, can't you?
I think we focused on it. It starts 5 years after the Battle of the Five Armies. Then we do like a Tale of Years thing that takes you forward. But we wanted to start off in Wildlands because there was a bit of a blank canvas there. We know what happened in The Hobbit. We know what happens in the War of the Ring, or the Lord of the Rings and the War of the Ring around there. But there was that period in between where we had some really interesting, little bits and pieces. But it does give you a period as well as a geography to explore without worrying too much about treading on the tripping over the Fellowship. Or
exactly. You can tell the tales in the gaps, and which is really cool. Those kind of things. And again, really nice, like, attention to detail with all the way that the art comes across and the page design and everything. It's one of those things where when you see the cover, and then I'm like, oh man, I need that. When we were at Gen Con, we went with a couple of our friends, Dawn and Gianna, and she went straight over to the Cubicle 7 booth, and she was like, I need to get that book because it will just look amazing on my shelf, and I also want to role-play in it as well, which is really cool. But then as well as the One Ring, we also have Adventures in Middle-earth, which is going to be familiar to people that are playing a lot of the 5e stuff that's out at the moment. And it uses the base mechanics of how that works, but then it also adds in a lot of things that you've been talking about here in terms of where the corruption works and stuff like that in the game, because that's a big part of that, with their like shadow lore and all that kind of thing as well. So so if you want to take us through sort of how this came to be and sort of why you wanted to go down this route to create Adventures in Middle-earth, that'd be really cool. So and I'll have another flick through the book as well, so you can see more crazy cool pages.
It's funny with the way that these two start as well. Actually, my favourite bit of writing that I've done in role-playing games is the letter from Dwalin to Bilbo.
It really sets the scene. These are you can see some of the different little letters that are included in this as well, which introduce the different chapters, which are really fun to read, and it kind of puts you into the mood for getting stuck into it a bit more. So.
Excellent. That's good to hear.
It is. I am waxing lyrical about this, but I really do enjoy this. I've been playing this with my group and getting really stuck into it and stuff. And it's been really good fun. One of the big things is obviously you've got lots of stuff that kind of carries over from 5e. So you've got some stuff to do with new classes and things like that, and you'll see a lot of familiar feelings. But then there's a little bit of a Middle-earth twist to everything. Like the Scholar is a fantastic and interesting character to play, and I love how healing has been done in this, where it's not the kind of magical healing that you might be used to seeing in the world of other role-playing games and things like that. It's not very much. It's got almost like a healing hand, sort of like the Word of the King, Aragorn kind of thing going on to it. So you're healed in other ways that aren't just patching up wounds, like miraculously, which is really cool. It was really nice. And you've got, as I say, there's this thing about the shadow lore, which is really interesting in this, and how you get influenced by the shadow, and it starts to degradate your character and stuff like that, which has been really cool. And seeing that process go through has been really fascinating. I've had a lot of characters sort of working out whether or not they're truly evil and stuff, which has been very nice, and working out whether or not their deeds are something that they should be getting shadow points for. And I'm like, well, if you think about it. I mean, I think it's really interesting, isn't it? Especially when you bring 5e players in, where there's some like really basic things that they would do as a matter of course, like after like looting the bodies.
Exactly. And it's like, well, if you look at it, that's not a wonderful way to be behaving as a person in the world. So it was great to bring those moral challenges in.
It is. It's made players play the game in a very, very different way, and you get that sense because a lot of people know about the world of Middle-earth when they sit down to play. They have a lot of easy steps into it immediately, and then they start to learn a lot more about it and sort of learn the nuances as things go forward, which is Yeah. And of course, there is also, I'm just going to bring this book over here as well. So this is the Lore Master's Guide that kind of takes place of your sort of DMG, almost when you're playing and sit down to play. And this has bestiaries of monsters and all kinds of different things in there as well, which is really cool. So it's been good to get into that. And it tells you a little bit more information about the world and how to run. The thing that's really cool about this as well is that that travel mechanic.
Yeah.
So one of the big things that you'll see a lot of other role-playing games, when you go on a trip, maybe you'll have random encounters, but this takes things in a little bit of a different way because you roll on those tables to see how things are coming across, and you have to make things up on the fly, which is quite interesting as well, which is really cool. So I've had a lot of very, very interesting role-playing experiences that have come out of doing those random things on the road that I haven't really thought about, but then they've come to me in those moments, and it's been really nice to see them coming. And there are nice little sort of examples in that as well, which has been really cool. So it's very nice to see that come together. And again, the artwork is amazing. So.
There's Ralph Horsley covers are gorgeous, aren't they?
He's just out there as well.
But I mean, that travel, it's something I think that was really important to bring in, was just like that narrative. I mean, 'cause journeys are such a huge part of the of Hobbit and Lord of the Rings.
Exactly, when you look at the films and the books and things like that.
So bringing those narrative episodes in, I think was really important. It was. I think it was interesting with the One Ring done very well for us, and it's one of the things that we had asked a lot, or people had asked us a lot as we'd announced Adventures in Middle Earth, was I really love the One Ring, and it's absolutely the two exist.
Because both of them are going to continue to get supplements and all things going forward. Definitely. So if you are a fan of the One Ring and you've been playing this for a long time, you're not going to get lost out.
Absolutely. No, not at all. With the reason, the decision for doing Adventures in Middle Earth was when the OGL came out. It's something that I'd always come across where people go, "Oh, the One Ring, that looks amazing. It looks so good. It looks great. I'm never going to get my group to play it. I'm never going to get my group to learn a new rule set." Yeah, definitely. So when the OGL came along, it just seemed like an amazing opportunity to bring all this good stuff that we've done for the One Ring over to a new audience,
which is very cool.
It's.
I'm just going to quickly go into this because I want to talk to you a little bit, because I know a lot of people in the community are really interested about Warhammer Fantasy Roleplaying, where that's going. But I'm just going to point out that you do these region guides as well, and they tell you all about playing in different areas in Middle Earth and getting stuck into that. And there's adventures in there as well as some additional monsters and stuff. Is there in these big bits as well, and sort of like culture stuff?
There's loads of kind of adventure seeds and things like that in there. The Ravanian Region Guide has a companion volume, the Mirkwood Campaign. Not that I have any trouble tracking these titles at all.
There's so many of them now.
We made a little bit of a misstep as well. We realised I think we had 3 products with Rivendell in the title. Apparently that confuses fulfillment people. Who'd have thunk it?
But so that's fantastic, and it's one of those things that I keep looking forward to and picking up new region guides and getting stuck into them to see where it all goes. But yes, we're going to talk about it now. We're going to talk about Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. So I'm just going to show this little bit off here. Yes, you can see it here. Yes, this is just a teaser of what's to come. There are more to come, because Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, as we knew it, is kind of coming back with a little bit of a twist as well. So for anyone who's not heard about this, what are you guys doing to bring this back to the tabletop?
So, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay is such an enormously well-beloved game. It's a fantastic honour to be working on it, and it's I think I said earlier, it's my first role-playing game, so it's been lovely to come back. So we are close to releasing the 4th edition. Mechanically, it kind of goes back to the 1st and 2nd edition to a certain extent.
So it's got the D100 style system going on back again. So
I think tried to do the best implementation of that D100 system. Some of the things we've been trying to address are what some people refer to as the whiff factor, where you can have things not happening, or I think especially with combat, if you've got low skilled,
it was one of those things.
You can have people missing.
A lot of playing a dwarf fighter who wasn't really very good at fighting. I think was
so we've been trying to address those sort of things. The other thing I think with Warhammer, because it has such a history and people have been playing it for so long, 30 something years, there's a lot of people who have a lot of love for the game, and we wanted to make sure that they could play their version of the game. So the design approach has been to allow that. possible as well. So we're trying to provide options for, people may prefer doing things a certain way, people may prefer another way. Especially nowadays, we've got such a range of play styles, haven't we?
Because I believe you guys talked about it in a recent article. Was all about the 3 different ways that tests can work.
Yeah.
And so you've got very much more a focus towards very narrative stuff, or if you need to have like a hard and fast answer, yes or no, you've got that going on as well, which is pretty cool. And of course, there's probably going to be lots of modifiers being thrown into the mix as well. As well. So the one thing I want to ask about Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay though is the critical hit table back. Is the crazy injuries and stuff that happens with that, is that back?
It is, yeah.
I love losing eyes and seeing limbs fly off. It's the old world, it has to happen.
I think so.
That's perfect. And does it go back through the sort of the career system that we had from sort of first and second as well? Is that all back as well?
Yeah, so. There's, we've tried to, again, give people as many options as they want to in terms of their play style. So some people love moving around different careers and working out how they're going to go from, I don't know, rat catcher to targeteer or whatever it was.
Rat catcher and charcoal burner, that was the ones that always stuck with me to begin with.
So we've got the all of those. But we wanted to make it so that you don't have to do that. If you just want, if you want your character to be a sea captain, and you wanted to stay as a sea captain,
then you can just focus.
Focus on that. You can still advance. You can still spend your experience points, and you can stay. And there are advantages for doing so as well.
Very cool.
So you can. There's a lot of different things you can do there.
So there's a lot of things that fans of the original first and second edition are going to really love coming forward, and then obviously you've done a couple of tweaks to make it a little bit more modern. The kind of audiences that are playing role-playing games right now. So if you love the old world and getting stuck into Warhammer Fantasy roleplay, that's definitely something to watch out for.
Yeah.
The other thing you guys are doing as well as working with Games Workshop is working on the Age of Sigmar role-playing game, I believe, as well. And can you tell us a little bit about that, or is it a little bit hush-hush at the moment?
Still in development, but it's amazing. We're having great fun with it.
That's I think amazing.
With every new release, the Games Workshop put out for Age of Sigmar, I think it's getting better and better. I think
there's so much more to learn, a lot more about the world. We're seeing a lot more to do with maps and learning about the different cultures and stuff. So fingers crossed we're going to see some of that coming through in the role-playing game and things, and learn a little bit more about what it's like to live in the mortal realms. I think it's going to be very interesting to see.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the things that Games Workshop are very keen on working with us to
try to expand,
to bring in.
And learn a little more about it. So fantastic.
Definitely.
So I want to know, of all the games that you do, which one do you play the most of? Which one do you get to actually sit down and role play most of, or DM anyway?
Yeah, the One Ring. I think it's been the one that I've.
Awesome.
I mean. Love them all.
I love them all as well. I want to take them all home with me.
I mean, I think that's one of the one of the best bits really of my job. I love everything that we do. It's they're all they're all properties that I personally go back a long way with. Though I think
that's cool because you'll always have memories and interesting characters and moments from any kind of role play game you step into, and obviously you've got such a broad library to pull from and get stuck into as well. So loads of interesting things for that. So if anybody's coming to the UK Games Expo this weekend, what booth are you at, and where can they find you?
I don't know.
You're somewhere in Hall 1, I believe.
Unprepared. Yes,
I think you're at the bottom of the stairs that go up to Hall 2. So
if you come into Hall 1, I think we go right and you'll find us.
Yeah, if you go in through the main doors and turn right, you're there. You won't miss it. There's a big Cubicle 7 thing I think you can go into. Talk to these guys about what they're doing and pick up some really cool books and everything. So
absolutely.
Because we need more role-playing books on our shelves. I like digital things, but I also like books on my shelf as well.
Absolutely. So, your shelves are crying.
Lance is going to tell me exactly where you are. You are 1A2.
Of course I am. That's the
There you go. You knew that all along.
I was just testing you.
Yeah. Make sure to get stuck into the comments. Tell us what you like about what's happening with any of the role-playing games that Cubicle 7 do. And of course, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. I want to learn a lot more about this as things go on. We'll stay in touch and we'll talk a little bit more about it in the future. It'll be really cool indeed.
Sounds good.
So we're going to move on and move on to the next bit of our live stream here. But yes, make sure to comment on what we're doing across all our live blogs this weekend. We've got some amazing stuff going on. Some really nice prizes to be won as well. That was almost like a funhouse line there, which is crazy. But yes, we're also, as I say, giving away this Geek and Sun table. So if you want to get in on that raffle, all you've got to do is go on over to the URL, fill in the questionnaire, fill in your details, pay for the raffle ticket, and you could be walking away with one of these at the event, which is pretty awesome indeed. Play our role-playing games on this, and get stuck into it. So thanks again, Tom. It's been fantastic. We'll see you guys very, very soon.